Welcome to Dark Loops, the Lasso Crew, where we discuss season 2 of the Apple Plus series, Ted Lasso. I'm your host, Dr. Scott Jordan, aka Zombie Scotty, cognitive psychologist, philosopher from Illinois State University. And tonight we discuss episode 5, Rainbow. So, fellow members of the Lasso Crew, please say hello to the audience and tell them a little something about yourself. And we'll start with Kerri.
Hi, I'm Kerri. I teach at Governor State University. I teach English and rhetoric.
That's fantastic. And how about you, Montien?
Hi, I'm Montien. I'm a registered nurse, an IT analyst, and TV enthusiast.
Fantastic. And now on the Lasso Crew, for the very first time, the one to only get off my dance floor queen of moving and grooving, Miss Niambi Stearns. Niambi, welcome to the show. Please tell us a little something about yourself and why you love Ted Lasso.
Thank you for having me. My name is Niambi, as you just said. I am a TV enthusiast, but I get paid to be an intelligence analyst by the government in my day job. And I like Ted Lasso because it just makes me warm and fuzzy, just some good, clean entertainment. I don't have to worry about being too stressed out because it's going to make me feel good in the end.
No, it's fantastic. Fantastic. So we're so glad you're here. And the show is pretty low key. The way we do it is everybody comes up with a favorite line, favorite character, favorite scene, favorite theme, whatever they want. And we just talk through that till we're finished. So we'll open the floor to whoever wants to start. Favorite line, favorite character, favorite scene.
Well, I think this is quickly becoming the Roy show.
The Boy Show?
I think, yeah, Roy is just
the Roy Show. Okay.
The heart and soul of this show this season. He's just everything. And my favorite scene is just a really small, little, tiny, inconsequential scene, but it just sums up Roy for me. And that's when he's going in, trying to get into the game, and they're not let through. And so he goes over and tells them that he's whatever Rebecca's ex-husband's name was, and he's waiting to get the ticket. And there's a little boy down there looking up at him, and he looks down at him, and that little kid has that smile. He goes, and the kid has this big grin.
I love it.
And I just love that moment because I just think it summarizes Roy. I mean, this kid is not in the least phased by that. You know, it's everything he thinks Roy should be. And, you know, Roy's just he's just a magical character, I think. I just adore him. So.
I have to agree. When he and Ted are having lunch at the kebab place and Ted starts making up his silly jokes and Roy just it's funny because that sound is also white noise, right? So it's like just no signal, but all signal. It's hilarious. How about you, Montien?
So my favorite scene started pretty early in the episode when they were in the office, the locker room office, and it was Nate, Ted, and Coach Beard. And then in walks Dr. Fieldstone asking about the team captain, Isaac, and she asks if he's okay. And then Ted goes, he's a wigwam and a teepee. And Dr. Fieldstone says, what does that mean? And then Ted and Coach Beard say at the same time, 2 tents, boom.
Oh my God.
And then Nathan goes, he's wound tighter than my nan's hairnet. Then he goes, that only makes sense if you know my nan. But when she wears a hairnet, it looks like puppies are trying to escape from it.
The minute I saw that joke,
Dr. Fieldstone and goes, I'm not crazy.
As soon as I heard that 2 tenths line, I knew we were back to good old fashioned Ted Lasso, right?
Yes.
We're coming back completely from the Christmas episode and back into the regular comedy. How about you, Niambi? I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. I think I was thinking about what my favorite scene was, and I kind of got two, but the one that sticks out the most was when Roy was trying to get to the stadium and he had took that taxi, but before he left, he had the wherewithal to be like, you need to date your wife. And it's like, like you handing out life advice on the fly. Like, let me circle back around to this. What is your problem? Why are you ill prepared for your anniversary, sir? Like, he had a whole attitude about it.
That's hilarious.
I thought that was funny. And then I liked when he had finally got to the field and he circled back around to the movie quote where he was like, you had me at coach.
Man, the rom-communism was pretty thick this episode.
Yes.
Rom-communism was
so.
It was actually an interesting connection, you know, with the previous one with Christmas, because it's kind of a whole meta thing with rom-com. And by the way, I read something, I can't remember where I read it, but it was kind of like the behind the scenes reason for why the Christmas show was in August. And I guess they had room for more episodes than they knew. So they took that standalone episode, created it out of sequence, and put it back in.
Nice.
It was the show. So all the things that we were saying about it being a standalone episode and all those kinds of things were absolutely true.
There you go. Absolutely. I think my favorite scene was Rebecca showing her power move. When they're trying to teach Nathan how to stand up for himself, and she goes, no, he goes, but you command every room you enter. She goes, no, that's not true. You've never been in a meeting with all these boardroom men. I go by myself for a couple minutes, and then I make myself big so I can feel my power. They kind of look at her mystified, and then she just does this yoga move into this huge grizzly bear, and then she
she reminded me of the Predator when she did that. I was like, yo, she's huge.
And I'm gonna cuss here, but I'll tell you what, the line Kaylee says, fuck, you're amazing. Let's invade France.
Let's invade France. I loved it. I loved that.
And the look of awe on Keely's face was worth it, because Rebecca was training her at the same time, right? I thought, wow, what a fun scene to do. And you know, I was fully expecting Nathan to bare his teeth in the bathroom later. Which he didn't. That's not who he is. He expressed himself a little differently later, but that scene just took me off guard. Her, you know, gnashing her teeth, and you know, my experience was that she was the mother from Aliens, you know, but Predator works just as well.
Alien works too. Either one.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyone else? Favorite lines? Favorite scene? Favorite character?
Favorite line. Hold on, I got another one.
So I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and jump in here with a favorite line, because go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't have a favorite line. Go ahead.
So this again occurred pretty early in the episode, and I think it's more data to support the assertion that we're watching Act 2, we're watching The Empire Strikes Back, where they're watching the footage from their last game, and the one guy makes a poor defensive play, the other team scores, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's yelling. And Ted says, now these next few months might be tricky, but that's just because we're going through our dark forest. Fairy tales do not start, nor do they end in the dark forest. That son of a gun always shows up smack dab in the middle of a story, but it will all work out. Now, it may not work out how you think it will or how you hope it does, but believe me, it will all work out exactly as it's supposed to. I'm sorry, but he's just basically telling us, right, that that this, for me, this season is their dark forest, and they're not going to end there, and something good's going to come up in season 3 where we're never going to be able to have predicted how it was going to end, but it's going to be experienced as all right in some way by everybody that it happens to. I just thought they were preaching to us during that quote.
Well, I didn't think it was going to take till season 3. I felt like it could happen this season.
Yeah, I think the bad thing will happen this season. You know, we all talked about Roy becoming a coach, right? And sure enough, boom, there he is. now, the things we've been talking about is the possibility of them not having any money and having to start selling players because they can't afford them, or Ted getting fired. And, with Roy already there as coach, I'm going to stop saying all this sad stuff, but I mean, they just laid it on pretty thick with that whole quote.
Yeah.
So I wasn't agreeing with you then. I was meaning that I felt like something good could happen in season 2. It didn't have to wait until season 3.
It could work out that way. I get the vibe that, like I said, I get the vibe that this is act 2 of a play where things go really bad, to Two Towers from Lord of the Rings, or Empire Strikes Back from Star Wars. That's just the vibe. It may not happen that way, but that's just kind of the vibe I got. But we'll see.
Did you notice the t-shirt? I mean, not t-shirt, but the shirt sponsor had changed?
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't.
You didn't notice?
Yeah.
No, what was it?
It's Bantr. It's Bantr.
That's
and the
hilarious.
Bantr logo was on the back wall when they were on the field as well. So yeah, they've already shifted that. So I thought that was interesting because I thought Rebecca helped Keely get the Bantr app going, but Bantr is the shirt sponsor now.
I tell you what, thank you. Thank you for paying attention. We know that now. I didn't see that before.
It was very subtle, very subtle.
Yeah,
I'm really glad you pointed that out, because I just kept waiting for, when are we going to talk about Dubai?
Exactly.
And I guess we don't need to talk about it. It's just there.
It's just there. Yeah. And do we all agree that Rebecca is chatting with Ted?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That was so painfully obvious. No, you don't.
I don't
think so.
know if they're playing with us on that.
Well, if they are, I'm going to give them crap, because they specifically edited that third act scene where she's typing, and then he types back and has a smile on his face. It's like, you did that to us. If you did that to us and you're messing with us, I'm going to call foul next time.
But don't you feel like either way that goes, it's not good? I mean,
I don't want
those two to have a relationship.
I do. I think that workplace love can work out good. I'm all about it.
There you go. Again, love's a powerful drug, man. It happens where it happens, and you can't help yourself.
You think about it, that's a win-win for Rebecca and for Ted. They already been together. Y'all talked about it in previous podcasts where they've been supporting each other through their divorces, tough times, panic attacks, humiliations, dealing with their exes. And then he's not threatened by her. He's comfortable with her. Her thing is like, either the men are so rich, they obnoxious and don't pay her no damn attention, or she's so intimidating that the men are just kind of so small and useless that she's not attracted to them. Whereas Ted could slide in there real easy. He real comfortable. He don't care that that's his boss. Like, they'll be okay. And even if, so mom was like against it, because if he got fired, then it'd be an issue. It's like, but why is that an issue? First of all, she rich. He can get another job and she'll still smash him whether he working for her or not. So I don't think that it's an issue. I feel like they have good chemistry. They have good communication. They've already shown that they can support each other. They understand where each other is coming from. There's not a whole lot of explanation that has to go in it. Like, they've been setting us up for them to, move to the next level in their relationship. So to me, the whole point of the whole banter was for you to talk to somebody and get to know them and not have the pressures of what they look like and what they do and all of that. You're just getting to know their personality. Right. So we know they already like each other. He want her over with them damn biscuits. So I think that it'll be a good thing for both of them.
Well, that could lead to, an interesting thing where, because, this thing he said about we're in our dark forest now and things are going to turn out just as they should. It could be this bittersweet thing of them falling in love and her having to fire him, and whatever that leads to. I don't think they would have them just fall in love with a rom-com ending, I think if they do, there's going to be some contradiction, some twist, something that makes it.
Well, I think something sure is going on, because the person she's doing Bantr with is quoting Rilke. I mean, that's not Ted Lasso. I mean,
yeah,
nothing that serious has come out of his mouth, and that's a really heart-rending quotation. That if your demons, think of your demons as princesses. I forget how Rilke phrases it, but that they're there to. I mean, it's
the
that whole
dragons
Zen
are there
thing.
to
The thing that
protect your
troubles you the most,
treasures.
yes, that hurts you the most is the thing that you need, and it's like,
Yeah.
That's not. Oh no. That's
Well, I'll
another
tell you
show.
what, they could be playing with us, because he gave that huge speech in the first season about people judging and not being curious, and maybe we've been looking at the breakdown of Tim's Midwest hyper optimistic facade. Maybe underneath that is a poet we don't know, and they're playing with us. I'd be surprised, but go ahead now. You don't have to wait for me to finish, because I won't. Just talk right over me.
I don't think that they're playing with us. I think that the show has shown us through several characters that they look at these characters as not just one-dimensional. Everybody has multiple sides. We see different sides of all the characters all the time. So what we don't know and what we haven't seen is Ted when he is in a relationship. We seen Ted go through a divorce.
Yeah.
And we seen Ted smash Miss Sassy, but we didn't see Ted in a relationship when he's courting somebody, and how he is when he's liking somebody and falling in love. So Ted pulls out a lot of different quotes. So to me, it seemed normal that if he's trying to get this lady and he's trying to impress her, that he's quoting romantic love stuff. Like, I feel like that's a side of Ted that's in there. We haven't seen it, but he pulling it out for her, because none of the characters have been one-dimensional. I mean, I didn't think to see Roy Kent doing yoga and watching dating shows with a whole bunch of yoga moms, but that's his life and he into that. So why can't Ted be quoting famous stuff that y'all talk about? Now y'all get real technical, so I really don't know this quote y'all talking about.
No, it's all good. I mean, I would encourage you to drop the mic, but you might drop your poor dog. So I won't say that.
I mean, the only reason I know Rilke is because I am an English teacher. So just put that aside. I mean, that's just one of those things.
I gotta say, my favorite character this episode was actually Keely. There were just all these little different management moments, like her managing Nate's coffee machine depression, managing Rebecca's social media concerns, and then that moment where she's just in awe of Rebecca's bigness. I just liked, we saw that flip, those different sides of her, and we also saw those different sides of Roy when he was like being a gruff coach to McAdoo, and then he's laughing like a kid when he sees McAdoo enjoying playing soccer again. So that all started off with me saying my favorite character was Keely, but I like the way they showed those different sides of her. And I guess I like the way they showed those different sides of Roy as well.
Well, I will admit to being frustrated with this episode.
Fair enough.
I am ready for something to happen with Dr. Fieldstone. That character is just sitting there, and she has something. She either has something going on that's really big, that's going to be really, helpful for the show, or they're going to blow it and just not take her anywhere. I mean, we need something from her. I need Ted to be sitting in her office, or Nate to be sitting in her office, or I need to be seeing her in action.
It's interesting you mentioned they shot that Christmas episode later and then stuck it in, because what that did was extend her, the lack of movement in her arc longer.
Yes.
So you're right. If this episode had been last week, we wouldn't have sensed that slow pace. I don't think so much, but
That's
you're
true.
right. Little tired of seeing her have 2 scenes with 4 lines. You know, so I don't know, maybe there's some event that happens that really forces Ted to her office.
So I think that's what we're getting at. So it's not bothering me that she's not more involved with Ted. Anybody else going to talk to her, to me, makes sense. But Ted going to talk to her, Ted has been adverse to counseling, therapy, anything like that. He's like, what is the purpose? What is the meaning? But what they've been doing is showing him breaking down and being more open to go see her, because he went to her thinking that wasn't nobody in there and he was going to talk to her. But then I think, was Rojas in there? Somebody else was in there when he went up there.
Yeah.
This episode?
No, not this episode.
No, it was back
before.
the beginning of the season.
It was before. Yeah. And because he was like, oh, I thought she was getting ready to leave.
Right.
But he thought he was going to slide in before she left and talk to her before she left. And then that's when they said, nah, like, she gonna be here. We took her on. She gonna talk to a couple more people, some other players. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's good. They should talk to her. So he played it off. But he was gonna talk to her then. He was gonna holler at her then. Then another time he wanted to holler at her, but then it turned out where she kind of like wasn't really feeling him, but he was trying to win her over with the
in the
biscuits
morning
and stuff.
he brought biscuits. Yes.
And
the
like
flavor
he was trying to weasel his way in, and she kind of shut him down and was like, I ain't playing this game with you, sir. So the whole thing now, when she just was talking to him and she said like, hey Ted, that she put it out there openly and plain and up front. You could come holler at me whenever you want. Like, my door is always open. And then he made that joke. But the whole thing is that, number one, he admitted to her that he was feeling pressure. And before, he would have never said anything to her. He just would have made a joke and moved on. So he opened up like just a smidge to tell her, yes, thank you for noticing something is going on with me. I am a little stressed out. And she's like, okay, I got you. Like, come holler at me when you're ready. Now Ted is like, I still ain't quite there yet. Because every time he kind of work up the nerve to go holler at her, there's something that kind of blocks it or gets in the way. So to me, it's making sense that he had to just gone in there. Because that would be too fast. What kind of arc is that? If he just walk in there, they giving us tidbits, they dropping breadcrumbs that he wants to go talk to her, and little by little, he did at least admit to her, yeah, I am feeling pressure because we kind of sucking right now. So I thought that was going in a good direction. So I think that we will see him eventually go and talk to her. Or like y'all are saying, now y'all kind of doomsdayies. I was telling mine, like, y'all always like waiting for something horrible to happen, but y'all don't understand where this energy is coming from with y'all. Y'all like, I need something bad to happen on this show. Like, to me,
we needed something bad to happen.
All y'all was like, I'm ready for something messed up to happen because I'm tired of all this warm hugging feelings. And I'm like, look, I took the episode like a nice warm blanket. I felt fuzzy, I felt tingly when Roy Kent came on and they was like, he's here. And I was like, yeah, that's right. Come on, Roy, like, that made me feel good. I said,
so
why y'all so grumpy? I guess because y'all senior citizens. That's what it is.
Oh no.
So Montien, I don't think Niambi wanted to come on and talk about the show. I think she wanted to come on and correct our mood.
Don't be ripping us.
No, it's
your room.
I don't take my dogs and go.
No. It's all good. You're right. You're right that we are on the grumpy side. And the thing is, they've been setting up this grumpy side. They've been feeding me these little clues that Ted's like funniness. For example, that whole little exchange about Bowie Jagger's Under Pressure, that form of conversation to tell a psychologist, I might come see you, is diagnostic. He can't even just calmly say, I think I'm under pressure. I think I'll come see you. So what that means to me is that the writers are telling us there's this superficial layer of Ted that we love. And when I call it superficial, I don't mean it's fake or false. It's part of who he is. And it's his hyper optimistic way of dealing with the tensions in his life that we haven't completely seen yet, you know, that we haven't seen explored. At least if I'm picking up the wrong vibe, I'm picking up the wrong vibe. But
no, that's his representative. They show us his representative, which is the uber optimistic, positive, funny, jokey guy. That's his representative.
Yeah.
But there is another side, and I think the insight into that side, it was the conversations that he would have with his wife and with Beard, and a little bit with Rebecca, about not wanting to have therapy, not wanting to go to therapy, not seeking the purpose of therapy, not seeking the help external from himself in order to, you know, work through his issues. Like that's just not him.
Right.
So he's struggling with himself. Now you talk about Star Wars all the time. So he's having his own internal battle with himself. You know, he Anakin right now. He's struggling between the dark side and using the Force. He trying to figure out, should I go in her office and spill my guts? Or
he
like,
is in a struggle with the Force. That is true.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I completely agree. I haven't gone Anakin just because I don't think he's gonna go Darth Vader, but
he don't have to. He don't have to. He could be Luke. I'm good with that. But either way, they be struggling internally and fighting with themselves.
Yeah, no. Well, he truly is, and I think that what they've shown us of that struggle, 90 to 95% of what they've shown of him has been one side of that struggle, right? The side where he's happy and presenting himself publicly. We saw the panic attack last year. We saw him become sad when he recognized his conversation, his screen time conversation with his kid wasn't going to last all day on Christmas. A couple of other moments, but
he destroyed a room, but he was damaging stuff and throwing stuff around. He had like a full-on adult temper tantrum.
Yes. No, I don't disagree. Yeah. So I'm not sure that other than, you know, Anakin Skywalker, I would say it's more Han Solo, but you know, that's neither a debatable issue. We're just having fun.
I mean, Han's struggle wasn't that deep though. I feel like Ted struggled a little deeper than Han.
Yeah. No,
don't say it tell out for Han.
I don't disagree. I think, first of all, Anakin never had a sense of humor. Absolutely the most boring human being in the Star Wars universe. Han Solo did have a sense of humor, at least as what you could get out of a space pirate in a movie in the 70s. But he had a sense of humor, right? And that's mostly what we saw. You usually didn't see his vulnerable side. So that's why I make the and then at the end he gets frozen in carbonite, right? So that's like, you know, that's why I talk Star Wars. That's why I sound grumpy.
It's all good, Scott.
No, it's all good. No, we're just chatting here. I mean, we'll see where it goes. I mean, Tom asked us last week, right? Hey guys, what happens if this doesn't go bad? And it's like, well, you know, then they got some debts to pay as far as some of us are concerned. But
it doesn't have to go bad. I mean, sometimes people's struggles or difficulties that you go through in life, there's levels, right? So not everybody has horrible, awful, tragic things that happen to them, but that doesn't mean that it's any less difficult for them. I mean, he went through a divorce. For him, that was a significant, you know, change and trial in his life, and he's still trying to adjust to that. So for him, that is a struggle for him.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's why
y'all waiting for some big grand shoe drop. It's like it don't have to be that deep.
I don't know if it's going to be grand, but I think there's a reason he said that whole thing about the dark woods, right? Things work out. They probably won't work out the way you thought work out meant, right? But they'll work out. And so so we don't have to call it a big bad thing. What I do think happened is there's going to be a fairly, and I'm going to use the term, catastrophic change in who Ted is and how he looks at the world. Catastrophic just means. Go ahead, Kerri.
I think when Ted says, you know, that this dark forest happens in the middle and whatever, and that it's going to work out, it may not be the way you want it to work out. I think he's well and good with that with his team, and maybe for other people, but I don't think he's getting that with himself. I don't think he's seeing the ramifications of that statement, you know, for himself, because I think it's very difficult for us to get a handle, you know, on the things that that
I think, yeah,
that are okay, you know, even though they're killing us in the moment.
totally. No, I think you're right. I think he's telling a story he doesn't know really applies to him.
Do you think they're doing a little foreshadowing? Because I was wondering why that older couple was thrown in there, the ones that were talking about how they met at the stadium. And apparently she said she came from a wealthy family. He just came from like a working class family. They met.
Look at you. Yeah.
They fell in love.
Yeah.
And then then they threw in there the zinger about them being in litigation with the Titanic movie. And I was like, wait a minute, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
But
well, I think one of the things that they were doing throughout this episode was exactly what they were doing with the Christmas episode, which is playing out one scene after another from a rom-com. And
Yeah.
that relationship is the relationship between the characters on the Titanic. I hate that movie, so I don't remember the name. But yeah, I thought I found that really sweet that they broke the fourth wall and looked at us and talked to us.
yeah,
And then you see Higgins and his wife meeting, and then that Rolling song playing. And I have to say, it was just exactly what happens in a good rom-com. You know, it's that feeling of, actually, it's something that doesn't very often happen in rom-coms, which is looking at people who've been married a long time and still love each other.
Yeah.
You know, and I just really found it very warm and comforting and affirming that they had those two couples.
Which is why Rebecca and Ted are going to fall in love, because they're saying that love is possible and you find it in the oddest places that you don't expect. Like maybe she's your rich or powerful boss and she's going to be your boo in the future.
There you go.
She's not going to let that go.
So if that's how it works, that's how it works. And the thing is, I just hope they do that as well as they've done everything else. I have to admit, I'm not expecting it. I just hope that they get us there. This in the quality way they've gotten us to all the other things that they've done. Otherwise, we'll see.
I will say, if there's any guy who could handle having a rich and powerful boss who's much richer and much more powerful than he is, I think Ted Lasso is someone who can handle that. You know, he's very much in touch with his feminine side, I think.
There you go.
He's secure. His insecurities don't have anything to do with what would be going on with Rebecca. So they would complement each other, because in the places so far that he has shown vulnerability and insecurity, she's been able to step up and show support, you know, to him and be there for him. And he's allowed her to. So that's the other thing. Because he could have pushed her away and not played along and not participated and was like, I'm good, I'm just gonna stay up here and drink my whiskey by myself. But he did it, you know, he came out and played the elf. And so I think that the fact that he allows that friendship to grow and blossom is another reason why they would make a good couple.
Yeah, I have no qualms with that. What I like about what I'm hearing is that there's wisdom in his hyper optimism, right? In other words, he's telling everybody else to believe, he's telling everybody else to be open. And then in his moments of weakness, he actually is, right? When he had his panic attack, he didn't try to hide from Rebecca. And like you said, when she came to his house at Christmas, he didn't shoo her away. He took up the invitation. And so, I mean, if that's the way they write it, that's the way they write it.
Well, I think another romance that's going on is the romance of the football team. I think that we don't have a lot of outlets of expression for men to have affectionate relationships with each other. And I think that this is one thing that Ted and Roy both bring to the table with these footballers. And we saw it, I think, in this episode. I mean, a lot of that rainbow and a lot of that love had to do with Roy's love of the game, his ability to show this other guy whose name I've forgotten, the joy of the game. Ted loving to work with these guys. The guys in the locker just totally losing track of everything, naming off all of these rom-com, actors and actresses, and just the action they brought to each other, and the support and love. I mean, just I remember Jamie as an asshole. He's just participating right there along with all the others. And
yes.
so I think that there's a lot of love between this game and between these men as well.
Jamie's still a tart, but I think that you make a good point but again, that goes back to, they show, multi-dimensional people, multi-dimensional characters. They're not just footballers, they're people. They have families, they have feelings, they have goals. They laugh, they joke, they play. They're humanizing the players of, hey, these people are away from, home. They're away from their countries. Like, we're gonna have them over so they can come. Like, that's something that we're a military family. That's something we do as a military family when sailors or soldiers don't have a place to go. Like, we hosted them at our house for the holidays, to support them so they have some place to go, to show that family. So that goes back to what you guys were talking about in the previous episode, where it's like, this is the family that you chose, the family that you built, that you created, and there's a love and there's a bond there that no one else could understand. And that's where Roy got pissed and was like, you know what, I ain't doing this. I got to roll out. Because we just sitting here judging people. We don't know. We ain't in there. Like, you don't even know. So that's where he was like, wait a minute, let me get back to what I love, because I do know I do have some insight into this. And I do have something that I can offer them and bring them. And so I think that was a good arc turn for him, because he didn't know what he wanted to be when he grew up.
Exactly. No, I thought they actually handled Royce coming back to coaching very well. I mean, the whole time.
Did you see Nate's face?
Yeah, I was going to say, Nate had a salty look. First of all, he wore his suit.
Yeah.
So he was very walking tall.
It was
that's okay, but he was still walking tall. He was feeling good about wearing the suit. He asked, is it too much? How am I looking? And he got the approval of Dr. Phil Stone and Ted, and then he walked on out there, and then his face looked salty when Roy showed up, and the crowd was cheering him on, and he was just looking like, where do I fit in? And when he said the name Coach, he just looked like, what?
No. He just learned how to assert himself at a restaurant too, right?
Exactly.
I mean, he's starting to feel a little bigger, and suddenly Roy's there. So what I like about that is they put that right in the middle of Roy's glory, right? So we're totally stoked about Roy. We're happy with that. And all of a sudden that emotion just gets a little kinky when we see Nate, and it's like, okay, that's just good writing. They're not gonna give us a lollipop, right? They're gonna put some vinegar on it and make us take the sweet and the sour or whatever vinegar is all at the same time. I totally dig it.
Yeah, he was not happy.
No.
And you know how I'm always cluing in on words. So I was searching for that, why they came up with this title, Rainbow. Searching. There's a lot of definitions. I love the Urban Dictionary because it puts it in the vernacular of the day. Right. However, not going to give you some of the bad definitions. But one thing that we talked about in terms of community and family, that there is a definition for rainbow, which references being a member of the rainbow family of living light, a term denoting the activities and philosophies the aforementioned. So in that respect, when you talk about welcome home, when you welcome in soldiers home or welcoming people into your home, that the definition said that that's an integral part of the rainbow. And even that song that they use, which is a Rolling Stones classic, apparently it said that song was written about Anita Pallenberg. And she was rumored to be the muse for that track after she had this kind of abusive relationship with Brian Jones. And then Keith Richards saw, I guess, him do something to her, and they went back and he took her back to England. They fell in love and ended up having 3 children together. So
well, there you go.
Yeah, I'm always.
There you go.
And Ted rescued Rebecca with the dart game in the bar to get her jerky ex out the box.
That is still the best scene of the series.
That is the
It's a
best
great,
scene.
great scene.
So we still setting up for the romance. People, they dropping you all these breadcrumbs. Just let it wash over you.
Oh, I like the taste of vinegar just a little too much.
You need time. We're the pessimists all of a sudden.
There you
Tom,
go.
we need you.
I love it.
Oh no, I wonder do Tom even like the show the way he be talking. I'm like, why did you watch the episode?
What are you gonna say, Kerri?
Since he's not here right now, let me tell you a little secret. He told me a couple of weeks ago, don't tell anybody this, but I'm starting to really like the show.
See, I mean, that's
I
the
love
thing about the
that.
show. Then okay, now I'm gonna pull this up and make it public. Tom is from England, right?
Yes.
And this sappy American stuff, just it's like oil and water, man. It's not their vibe. And it just takes a little time for that sentimentality to sort of work.
And the
through.
character that's been the bridge to carry him over is Roy.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
It fits
Of course.
that theory perfectly.
Well, what they've really done well with Roy, and you guys talked about it earlier, is particularly the scene where he goes to pick up the ticket. There's just these three different characters. You mentioned the little boy. There's also the guy that gives him the ticket. He says, "I think you have a ticket for Reba McEntire." And the kid looks at him and goes, "Rrr." And the kid grins from ear to ear because that's Roy's character. And then the guy behind you says, "Here's your ticket, Reba. Good to see you," or something along those lines. And so you get these three different reactions to the same gruffy dude who is loved, right? That's the thing, is everybody knows that the gruffiness plays out in a certain space. And learning that about yourself is not a bad thing. You know, learning that, as you said, Niambi, you got different dimensions. For me, those different dimensions play out more strongly in different situations, and being comfortable with the fact that you don't have to be the same person in every space, right? You just get, and then finding those people that let you be who you want to be. You know, that's the family you develop as you move on. So I love that scene. Just three little characters, and boom, boom, boom. We know who Roy is, right?
They gave you some vinegar too.
So what?
At the gate.
They gave you some vinegar too. No, with Nate's expression.
Oh, well, yeah, definitely his expression.
I love it.
I'm glad you mentioned that ticket scene because I misunderstood. I didn't understand that he said Reba McEntire.
Yeah.
So for some reason I thought he was saying the ex owner of the club. So
Ted told him he was going to leave tickets in the names of like famous singers.
Yeah.
So he had a ticket under Barbra Streisand before.
Yes.
And I guess this time it was Reba McEntire. So he was changing the names, but it was always a female singer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's perfect.
And the smile on that guy's voice when he said, you know, "Here's your ticket, Ms. Maggie, we're glad to see you." It's like, welcome home, Roy. You know, we're glad you decided to come for dinner.
Because Ted said he wanted him to come, but he didn't want to embarrass him by leaving the ticket under his name.
Yeah.
So he was like, you could come whenever you want to come, and I'll just put the ticket in a different name, so that way you don't feel no pressure when you come to the stadium.
Totally forgot that. Thanks for reminding me. That's good.
No, just those three characters are just boom, boom, boom. You know, within like 8 seconds, you just get all these different psychic states around the same. Everybody's accepting Roy for who he is.
The gate recognize, the security. It's like, are you kidding me? If anybody should knew who Roy Kent was, it should have been security, and they were just like.
I think they just wanted him to keep running. The writers wanted him to keep running. The writers wanted that scene with the ticket master and the kid, and they wanted to have those two different reactions to Roy show up in that short span of time. So then we see the kid loves Roy's gruffness. That's like Superman getting mad, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then the guy behind the counter, like, yeah, you're gruff, whatever. We love you. Here's your ticket. Thanks for coming. And
but you've also got all the rom-com tropes, you know.
Yeah.
You have the running to get there. Is he gonna get
Yes.
oh, he's got something stopping him, you know, all of that
Yeah.
stuff. And I love that what he's trying to get to is a ball game. You know, it's not a woman, it's a football game.
Yeah.
And I just think that says so much, you know.
Agreed.
But that's
about
what made it
what they're
so
going
cool
for.
when they started singing his chant about him being everywhere. Because he literally was just on TV.
Right.
And now he's
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the middle of the stadium.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, he really is everywhere.
Everywhere. No, it's, you know, as we talk through this thing and we dissected it here and there, it's just amazing. All this is thought out. They know, the writers know exactly what they're doing as they put this all together, and it just really makes you appreciate it even more. It's like a warm blanket that was like really well thought out when it was constructed.
You sound like Niambi now, Scott.
Well, I'm getting hints of vinegar as I hold that blanket closely. So.
It's there. It's
So-
there. You just gotta look for it.
Hints of oh, I forget what the girl said at the last episode. Am I getting hints of Beijing?
Yeah. You know.
They put a
Well.
little apple cider there just for you.
Just for me, right? Someone spill it on purpose. Any other favorite line scenes, favorite characters?
I don't have any more.
That's okay.
There was a lot of dialogue, but
I
it
didn't
was
even
coming
try
so
to do
fast
all.
sometimes. I was like
Yeah.
not keeping up.
I didn't even try to note all the rom-com references. I was so blown away by the scene where he's admitting to her that he wants to talk to Fieldstone in the lyrics of Under Pressure. I thought that was just stunningly brilliant. Just because it all came off as conversational. It didn't
Yes.
come off as a song. And I thought, damn, y'all, you got it going on. That was amazing. Okay.
Well, I think actually that notion of the planet, I think maybe that's why the Christmas episode felt so weird,
Yeah.
because it wasn't planned to be where it was.
Mhm.
And I think they may look back on that and maybe regret having put that episode in.
Do you?
I'm not necessarily sure it's going to improve the trajectory of the show.
You see, I think
But
we
we'll see.
provided an analysis of the Christmas special last week that situated it perfectly within our doom and gloom prognosis for the season, right? They showed us It's a Wonderful Life because of a bridge scene that's going to happen later. I'm just making things worse. So that about wraps that up for tonight's episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Lasso crew members, please tell the audience where they can find you on social media, and we will start with Kerri.
I'm at Kerri K. Morris on Twitter.
Fantastic. How about you, Montien?
I'm on Twitter at NurseyPoo2K2.
Outstanding. And how about you, Niambi?
I have a Twitter, but I never use it.
Well, you're free to share it with the Lasso crew and all
Wait a
of our
minute, I
viewers.
just logged in to see what the name was.
I get it. I'll tell you what, let me write down the time and you take your time.
No, I got it.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just laughing at myself. I'm sorry.
No, there's no sorry. It's all good. We're not getting paid.
I was like,
We're
wait a
not?
minute, we gotta look up
Oh,
Twitter.
gosh, I got a different contract with Kerri, guys. Be careful. So, Niambi, where can people find you on social media?
I am at Niambi Afi. That's NIAMBI AFI.
Fantastic. I'm on Twitter at @dark_loops. You can find all episodes of the Lasso Crew at the Dark Loops Productions channel on YouTube. If you'd like to leave feedback about this podcast, please leave it on this YouTube page or send a message to darkloopsproductions@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to read it at the end of our next podcast. So there it is, from all of us to all of you. Big hugs, and remember, football is live.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.